Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to explore some really unsettling stories. We're looking at accounts that step into the unexplained, sometimes the deeply disturbing. We've gathered these from listeners. And we're also touching on some real-world mysteries that just defy easy answers. These aren't just campfire tales. They feel like moments where, reality itself felt thin or trust was completely broken. So our goal today is to share these experiences and maybe look for the common threads. What makes something truly chilling? What taps into that deep sense of dread? Prepare yourselves, because some of these, well, they tend to stick with you.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? How often the deepest scares start in really ordinary moments. That sudden flip from familiar to utterly terrifying, that's often the key. We'll be looking at what makes these events tick psychologically and sometimes inexplicably.
Okay, let's start with an encounter from a listener, Gabriel. Picture this. You're walking home, it's night, you know the route, feel pretty safe. Then, out of the woods, like right beside the road, you hear a voice you know, calling for help. Gabriel said he heard his mother's voice, absolutely clear, pleading, "Gabriel, help me." He described it as frantic, really urgent. His first thought, pure concern. Did she get lost on her run? He literally started moving towards the trees, ready to help.
That initial instinct, yeah, to help someone you love.
Exactly. But then something hit him, stopped him cold. Just 10 minutes before, maybe 15 max, his mom had texted him. She specifically said she was home and asked him to watch his little sister so she could go for a run.
Okay. The timeline's wrong, the location's wrong.
Totally wrong. So this wave of dread washes over him. He stops, pulls out his phone, calls his mom, all while this voice from the woods keeps pleading, "Gabriel, help!" But the second his actual mother answers the phone, confirming she's home, safe, with his sister, the voice from the woods, it just stopped.
Stopped completely, not faded out.
He said immediately, like a switch flipped. Silence. And here's the really chilling part. The voice used his full name, Gabriel. He said only his mother ever called him Gabriel. Everyone else used Gabe or something shorter.
Wow. That's specificity.
Right. He didn't stick around. He ran home, found them both perfectly fine, totally unaware. But that question lingers for him, and honestly for me too now. What was that, and how did it know his name?
Well, that detail, using the full name Gabriel, that's what makes this so deeply unsettling. It's not just random noise, it's targeted, personal. It takes it beyond, maybe hearing something wrong or an animal sound.
It feels violating somehow, using his connection to his mother like that.
Precisely. It taps right into that primal fear mechanism. You hear a loved one in distress, your instinct is to react, not question.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of folklore archetypes, the mimic, the lure. Stories across cultures talk about entities that use familiar voices or appearances to draw people into danger. Sirens, will-o'-the-wisps, things like that.
To something imitating his mother's voice specifically to lure him.
It's one interpretation, certainly. The terror comes from the unknown, demonstrating an intimate knowledge. Something other, using your deepest bonds against you. It bypasses logic, aims straight for the emotional response, and it leaves you questioning your own senses, doesn't it?
Definitely. If you can't trust hearing your own mother's voice, what can you trust? Really creepy. Okay, our next story. This one pushes into, reality itself feeling unstable. This listener describes themselves as someone always interested in dreams, but this felt very different. It's 1 p.m., they're feeling drowsy, watching a video on their phone, pretty normal stuff. Suddenly, the sound on the video just cuts out. Dead air. They decide, okay, time for a snack. They get up, walk downstairs. They said they were aware of everything. Every step on the stairs, getting the food, eating it, the feeling of swallowing, the taste, all very real. Then they went to the bathroom. Again, hyper aware of the sensations, the cold floor, washing hands, back to bed, browsed Instagram for a bit. And they specifically remember the posts they saw, even the order. Then they just lay there, kind of drifting, thinking for what felt like, a good chunk of time, maybe 40, 50 minutes.
It's a significant period.
Yeah. And then, boom, like a switch flips again. They're suddenly back under the blanket, phone in hand. The video is playing from the exact spot it stopped. And the sound is back on. But the clock still says 1 p.m. Exactly 1 p.m. Not 1.45, not 1:40. 1 o'clock.
So the entire sequence never happened in external time.
Apparently not. They swore they felt it all. Eating, walking, but they checked the snack they ate, still in the pantry, untouched. And the Instagram feed, they looked again. Same posts, same order they remembered seeing during that lost time.
That is profoundly strange. The level of detail is what gets me.
Right. How could their brain create such specific, real-world, tactile details for a whole hour that just didn't exist on the clock?
Well, our brains are incredibly powerful at constructing reality. We see it in dreams, obviously. But this experience, happening while seemingly awake with such vivid multi-sensory detail, the eating, the specific Instagram post that goes beyond a typical dream or even lucid dreaming.
It felt totally real to them, not dreamlike.
Exactly. It's a complete disruption of perceived time and sensory input. To have a full, coherent hour of experience just erased from the timeline, while simultaneously having proof it didn't happen, like the snack. It challenges our whole understanding of consciousness and its relationship to linear time. Are there layers to reality, or perhaps glitches in our perception that we just don't grasp? Or can the mind, under certain conditions, generate an entire reality indistinguishable from the real one, even for a short time? It's baffling.
It really makes you wonder about memory, doesn't it? What's solid, what's constructed? Gives me chills thinking about it. All right, let's shift gears now to something different. A very real, very tragic, unsolved mystery. This account comes via Cole Michaels, who works with a database for missing persons up in British Columbia, and it centers on the disappearance of a woman named Mackie Basil back in June 2013. Now, Mackie was described as an introvert, not someone who partied much, didn't use drugs or alcohol, very dedicated to her young son, about 5 years old at the time. So it's already a bit unusual for her to be at a house party on the Tachi Reserve that night, especially since she didn't take her car, didn't bring extra things.
A deviation from her routine.
Yes. She got a ride home with her cousin and a friend. It should have been a really short drive, like 4 or 5 minutes, but somewhere along this lonely wooded road, Mackie got out of the truck. The cousin and friend later told police the truck got stuck in mud, which people noted seemed unlikely. It was summer, generally dry.
A questionable detail.
Yeah. Police apparently cleared them of foul play, but the reason why Mackie would get out of the vehicle right there on that dark road, that remains a complete mystery. And what happened next is just bewildering. Extensive searches were conducted, ground searches, air searches, everything. Absolutely nothing was found. Zero trace of Mackie. No body, obviously, but also no blood, no clothing, no phone, no sign of a struggle, nothing. Cole Michaels used the phrase. He said it was like she just melted into the ether.
Vanished utterly. That's rare, even in difficult terrain. Usually something turns up eventually.
Exactly. But here's where the story takes an incredibly eerie turn. Mackie's cousin, a woman named Bonnie Marie Joseph, she went missing 6 years before Mackie on the exact same stretch of remote road.
Wait, the exact same road?
The exact same stretch. And this road is part of Highway 16 in BC. It's infamously known as the Highway of Tears, a 725-kilometer route with a horrifying history of disappearances and murders disproportionately affecting Indigenous women.
Right, a deeply tragic reality for that region.
But even within the context of the Highway of Tears, Mackie's case stands out. Many other cases, while tragic, have eventually seen some development remains found, suspects identified, sometimes even convictions. But Mackie, just nothing, complete absence.
The Highway of Tears context is crucial, highlighting vulnerability and, frankly, systemic failures. It's a real-world horror. But Mackie's case, with the prior disappearance of her cousin on the identical spot, and this total lack of any physical evidence, it does push into something almost inexplicable, doesn't it?
It feels different, the complete vanishing act.
It is different. Most foul play, most accidents, they leave traces. Forensic science relies on that. To have someone disappear so completely, leaving literally zero physical clues behind, it defies logical investigation. It's like stepping out of the world. That absence of information, that void where evidence should be, that's a unique kind of terror. It offers no answers, no closure, just a blank space. Profoundly disturbing.
2 relatives, same road, vanished. It's hard to wrap your head around. Okay, for our final story tonight, we're moving into a different kind of horror, psychological. This is about an obsession that grew over years, starting from what seemed like a normal college friendship. Our listener says it began freshman year. She became friends with this guy, Alex, though he called himself Tony in the stuff he wrote later. Initially, he seemed okay, funny, kind of sweet. But pretty quickly, a darker side emerged. He started manipulating her, feeding her lies about her other friends, trying to isolate her.
Classic manipulation tactic.
Yeah. And it escalated. He became physically aggressive sometimes, left bruises she had to hide. He'd say incredibly cruel things, too, like, "You mean nothing to no one," just cutting her down. Then he'd apologize, be sweet again, that whole cycle.
A cycle of abuse, building control.
Definitely. The real breaking point for her was when she texted him, trying to get some space, just asking for a bit of distance. Minutes later, literally minutes, he showed up in her classroom on the other side of campus.
Whoa. How did he even know where she was or get there so fast?
Exactly. It was unnerving. After that, she actively tried to avoid him, blocked him, changed routes. But he always found ways. Emails, different numbers, always finding a way back in. Then came the gifts. First, this notebook, like 60 or 70 pages long, filled with declarations of his love for her, but also just pages of attacks on everyone else she knew.
Obsessive writing. Red flag.
Yeah, big time. Then, a few years later, it got worse. A 300-page book he'd written. The characters were clearly him and her, and the story. It included graphic sexual scenes between his character and hers, and it ended with her character being violently killed by the character based on her actual boyfriend at the time.
Well, that's horrifying. That's projecting violent fantasy directly onto her life.
She said she was absolutely horrified, understandably, but it didn't stop. Years passed. He messaged her on Instagram, making crude sexual demands. When she blocked him, he made another account, started calling her names, wishing she was dead, describing fantasies of killing her, really graphic stuff.
Direct threats now. Clear escalation.
And the final straw, the thing that kept her constantly terrified, he got a job working at a diner right near her apartment. So she lived with this constant fear, having to be vigilant every time she left her home, just looking over her shoulder constantly.
This is such a chilling illustration of how obsession can escalate from, unhealthy fixation to genuine, terrifying menace. The progression is textbook in a horrifying way. Manipulation, isolation, the disturbing writings, which are clearly processing dark fantasies, and then the direct threats and stalking behavior.
It's the slow burn nature of it, too, over years.
Precisely. And the psychological impact on the victim is immense. Living in that constant state of fear, hypervigilance, it's a form of torture. It shows how someone's internal distorted reality can bleed out and impose itself violently onto someone else's life. The line between dark thoughts and dangerous actions becomes terrifyingly thin. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are, unfortunately, very human.
Absolutely. So these stories tonight, from a voice in the woods that knows your name, to an hour that vanished, to a disappearance without a single clue, to an obsession that became a living nightmare. They really highlight the unsettling corners of our world, don't they? The mysteries, the things that defy explanation, and sometimes the darkness within people. They leave you with this lingering sense of unease, this feeling that reality or safety isn't quite as solid as we like to think. What stands out most to you listening to these? Is it the mimicry, the time slip, the complete vanishing, or the psychological horror? How do you try to make sense of moments where the ordinary breaks and becomes terrifying? We'd really like to hear your thoughts. Please join our community over at Horror Docx. And if these stories sent a shiver down your spine, please consider hitting that like button. Maybe share this deep dive with someone else who appreciates the strange and unsettling. And definitely subscribe to our channel, Horror Docx, for more explorations into things that go bump in the night and sometimes in broad daylight. Until next time, please stay safe out there.